Today on Retirement Solutions.
We have big changes in government programs every year, so this is the first thing that we want to discuss.
How do I deal with the healthcare costs when you think of retirement?
It's a concept called protecting your financial capital.
Welcome to Retirement Solutions with Bill Smith, the show dedicated to helping individuals and business owners achieve financial peace of mind. Sponsored by W.A. Smith Financial Group. And now, your host. He's the founder and CEO of W.A. Smith Financial Group, Bill Smith.
We're going to talk about really kind of protecting things you got to think about when you protect a retirement.
Absolutely. Protecting your retirement by getting ahead of potential changes in the government.
So that's the first thing we're going to discuss.
Yeah, we're talking taxes, Social Security, stuff like that. Also, how you should be planning for healthcare costs. That is huge, and I think we all know somebody who, life changes on a dime overnight just by your health.
Yeah.
So you've got to plan for that. And also a strategy to safeguard your financial capital, and Bill will tell you all about that on the money board. So here we go.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And so if you think about it, we have big changes in government programs every year. So this is the first thing that we want to discuss, okay? Yeah. Mm-hmm. What are they and how will they impact you in your retirement? And so this is so important, and categorically we can think about it. Social Security definitely needs some shoring up. Mm-hmm. And so, you think about Social Security as maybe a guaranteed income source, but is it a guaranteed income source? Yeah. When will it change? How will it change? And so when you think of one of the biggest risks is changing government programs, Medicare premiums, you've got IRMAA now. We never used to have that before. Now it's kind of a hidden tax.
Yeah.
And so this is the one thing that we really help our clients focus on when we build an income plan is, okay, when it comes to the big 7 risks, one of them is change to government programs. And so how do we build a plan so that we're maximizing your Social Security income? How are you maximizing your IRMAA, for example?
Absolutely, because, you don't have a crystal ball. You and, as wonderful as you and all of your financial advisors are, who are fiduciaries, by the way, so the better you do, the better they do.
That's right.
So we want you to know that. But you don't have this crystal ball to see what's coming down the road. So how do you protect your clients' investments, safeguard them against these changes?
Well, first thing, it starts with an income plan. And so foundationally, when somebody comes in, whether you're retired now or you're going to be retiring, whether you have a plan or you have no plan, we're simply going to sit down, we're going to take a look at, okay, when will you retire? We set a date. We look at how much will you need budget-wise to live the life you want to live. And then the third thing we look at is, okay, how do we maximize that Social Security? How do we plan for maximizing IRMAA?
Yes.
And that kind of
item. And for someone who doesn't know what IRMAA is.
So IRMAA is based on your income, is your premium you'll pay for your Medicare Part B and D. Okay, so it's a hidden tax, people.
Yeah.
That's the key.
Yeah.
It's a hidden tax.
I turned Medicare recently.
And by the way, okay.
Yeah, and I thought, oh, great, it's not so great. I'm paying way more than I thought I would be paying.
Well, and so when you think of changes to government programs, Social Security is my point of this whole thing, number one, is thinking about what if your Social Security goes down? What if you don't get COLA raises? What if there's another tax layered in like we have with IRMAA now? So how do you plan for that, right? So you have to really start building the plan, and there's more that I want to cover coming up after the break. Other changes to government programs that you should know about and how we help our clients build those in to their financial plans.
Yeah, you don't want to put it off any longer. Call or text the word schedule 800-878-6223 to get your retirement tune-up today. Be proactive, be protected. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Earlier we talked about things that could affect your retirement, affect your
Changes
retirement.
in government programs, right?
And the way they're spending money now.
We see so many changes, and they're not going to stop spending.
No.
So you can't look at this as you're not going to see a change in a government program that you potentially rely on, like Social Security. So if you're just joining us, before the break, we talked about how Social Security changes down the road. Because remember something, Social Security is in a situation where they're going to have to do something to shore up the solvency in the long term of Social Security.
Right.
There's no question. They have to do something. How will that impact you?
And when will it impact
And
you?
when?
Right.
Okay,
exactly.
so here's when you think of change, these are risks that potentially can affect you in retirement. Okay, so when you think of one of the big ones, it's these changes in government programs.
Mm-hmm.
I can't think of a bigger change than the dreaded taxes.
Right.
And so we talked about, there's a tax on your income based. It's called IRMAA. Yeah. But it's a separate bracket that they look at, that it's almost like a hidden tax. It said, oh wait, you made too much money, so not only are we going to tax your Social Security up to 85%, now we're also going to charge you more for your Medicare Part B and D premium based on the income. And so, again, a hidden tax. Here's the thing. Most advisors are not paying attention to this. Yeah. Number one. Number two, most CPAs are not communicating. They know about it, but there's no communication between the advisor and the CPAs.
Right.
And so that's where when we build a plan for our clients, we have the collaboration. We have an in-house tax department.
Yes.
We have a fiduciary advisor leading your team to address the risks that you're gonna face.
Yeah.
Not the risks that you were worried about 5 years ago or 20 years ago, right? Risks change. Okay, and so taxes are going to be a big one. And you think about it, they change every year.
You mentioned
somewhere.
During the break, you mentioned something about, I was thinking a beautiful sunset.
Yeah.
On Lake Erie or the beautiful ocean, but it's something that's not nearly as pretty.
No, it's not. And it kind of dates us a little bit, the show, but we'll talk about it because I think it's really important, and that is in 2025 we have a sunset provision. And what happens is we go back to the tax laws prior to 16. Okay? Big change, big impacts on people. So will taxes change? Absolutely. Yeah. And forget about the sunset provision. Politicians they need tax dollars so that they can spend money like
it's theirs.
Like it's theirs, right? So our job is to help you protect it in as many ways as you possibly can. And so it's so important, like we talk about income tax. Well, how are you lowering your income taxes? Well, when we ask that question to the majority of people that come in, the response that we get, Robin, is simply, well, we have a CPA.
Right.
Okay. But when is the last time your CPA sat down with you and said, hey, Bob and Mary, would you like to lower your taxes by $5,000 to $10,000 in the next 12 months? How about that for a rhetorical?
Yeah.
Would you like to have that question asked, a rhetorical question of you?
Absolutely.
How about that?
So
that's what's possible.
Yeah.
How would you like to have tax-free money? Yeah, is it possible? Well, it depends on on the situation, certainly. But when our advisors, Robin, sit down, we are like lead your team.
Yes.
We lead your team. And so
Holistically, you have a...
you may love your CPA. Great. We'll communicate with your CPA.
Yeah.
You may love your attorney. Great. We'll communicate with them. But if you don't love your CPA or your attorney, we have those people on our team. And our retirement tune-up financial review looks at all 5 key areas to a financial plan. Look, I know you might be thinking, well, Bill, I already have one.
But?
Whether you have one now or not, I have found in almost every case, the retirement tune-up financial review could help people go to the next level. It's so important. And it really, at the core of it, Robin, what it does is it breaks down the risks that you will face. Not what people face, the risks that you and your family will face. Yeah. And it aims to build a customized and comprehensive plan that addresses the risk. And
Absolutely.
so changing government programs are big ones that you will face, and we talked about the 2 biggest, Social Security potentially, and then of course, the mother lode of them all, taxes.
Taxes.
Yeah.
Whether you have $250,000, $500,000, $1 million or more, it is time. Do not delay. Call or text schedule to 800-878-6223 for your retirement tune-up. Coming up on the money board, Bill's going to talk about a way that when you sit down with them, how they will protect your financial capital.
Ooh, and what's that?
We'll find out.
Welcome out to 5-Star Retirement. I'm Bill Smith, and today we're going to talk about the second big thing that a lot of you want to know about when it comes to retirement, and that is your health care. A lot of people ask, Bill, what is the cliche 5-star retirement? Well, there are 5 key components to a financial plan, one being income, the second being investment, the third being tax planning, the fourth being healthcare, and lastly is legacy. How do you protect it? You know, estate planning, whatever you want to call it. And so a lot of you are wondering, how do I deal with the healthcare cost when you think of retirement? And joining me today, we call him Taco, Mr. Andrew Toccacelli. He is a master registered financial consultant, a retirement income certified professional. Been with us for 14, feels like longer than that, plus years. And he is also number 2 in charge here at the firm. He's senior vice president. Andrew, this is a big one.
Yeah.
Right? When you and when our advisors sit down with somebody who's concerned about health care, let's walk people through how we do that. And probably you and I talked about it. You thought the easiest way was
some buckets.
Let's bring out some buckets. Let's bring out some little red. These don't have coffee in them, like a lot of you might have thought. Boy, he's thirsty this morning. But let's start with this one.
Yeah. First thing, I mean, we break down healthcare, and ultimately it's 2 components. We have long-term care side of things. We have actual just medical health insurance. So we'll focus here on the legacy side. This is the leftover money.
So real quick, define long-term care for people who don't know what that means.
This could be assisted living. This could be nursing facility. This could be at-home care. A lot of different ways to approach this.
So like custodial care or even skilled care.
You got it. You got it.
So, which is expensive.
It's very expensive, and it can derail a plan. You could have everything covered, and your health fails you, and next thing you know, you're spending $10,000, $12,000 a month, which eats right into this bucket, this legacy money.
So this is where we position almost like that barrier between the health and the wealth that the individual has created.
Correct. And our team, we work with specialists to make sure that you're properly covered, to make sure that your plan doesn't derail.
All right, let's go to the second bucket.
Okay.
Again, we're talking healthcare costs if you're just joining us. And how we position that for you when you sit down with one of our advisors. So we talked legacy, what's left, how to put a wrapper around your financial plan.
Yeah, so this is the liquidity bucket. This is understanding how much could you potentially spend if you max out your deductibles, if, kind of the worst case scenarios. This is money we want to bucket off and make sure that it's set aside. And guess what? If you don't spend it, great. It goes towards that legacy bucket that we just talked about.
Or maybe you take an extra trip, a vacation, buy something, who knows?
Exactly.
All right, this is the big one, and we talk about this all the time in the show. The foundation income. How do you build, because I think a lot of people, Andrew, obviously, they look at healthcare and they think about the cost. They don't retire on their terms because they're worried about the cost.
Exactly, and that's the key, is that the cost is the big part. It's not usually selecting the best insurance. Now, obviously, that's important, and people are accustomed to maybe what they were using while they were employed. But generally, the concern that I see is, how are we going to cover the cost of this? And so what our team does is, led by the advisors, build this right into your budget throughout the kind of different phases. It could be pre-Medicare age. Insurance is probably going to be a little more expensive. You get into Medicare age, those costs could come down, but it's building out the proper income plan to be able to afford this before it's too late and you run out of money.
Yeah, so it's not your goals that make a difference, it's your habits, it's your processes that make a difference, that determine your success. So the key here, ladies and gentlemen, is who is on your team, not how. We have all the professionals that we can bring in, led by our advisor, to help you build that comprehensive plan. We encourage you to give a second opinion. Get a second opinion. Let us sit down with you and help you look at your plan so we can take it to the next level. It's called a retirement tune-up. It's easy to get, and I'd encourage you to do so. Simply go to wasmithfinancial.com.
All right, welcome out to the Money Board. So we talked about changes in government programs and healthcare costs and how you should think about it. Now I'm going to jump into the third thing we want to talk about today, and it's a concept called protecting your financial capital. Well, first thing is, what is financial capital? Well, financial capital is the money that you need to rely on to live a retirement. So this pertains to individuals who are drawing from a portfolio, meaning to supplement your income, you're having to draw from a bucket of money somewhere. That is called financial capital. So I want to share a strategy that we use and that anybody could use that works extremely well when it comes to managing risk and protecting financial capital. It's called time segmentation. And so just kind of before the break, we were talking on 5-star about, kind of some buckets, right? And so we're going to talk about buckets again as they relate to income. So let's take a look at an example here. Bucket 1 through bucket 4, these are time, okay? So further time goes out. There's a bucket out here on number 4. Bucket 1 is today. So future, today. And then when we think about conservative or aggressive, more conservative, more aggressive. All right, so how's it work? Well, when we build a plan for you, we're going to say, okay, what do you need in income for the next 1 to 5 years? We develop a conservative purpose-based allocation that targets that 1 to 5 years. Boom. Now we go into the next bucket, which is bucket number 2. Boom, years 6 through 10. So we empty this bucket, now we're jumping over to this bucket, so on and so forth. As time goes on, again, years 6 through 10, we can now ratchet the growth objective a little higher as we go out. The key is building that comprehensive plan that sets up those buckets, gives purpose for you. We can help you take your plan to the next level. It's called the Retirement Tune-Up Financial Review. It starts there. Here's what I want you to do. Simply text me. Text the word schedule to 800-878-6223, or simply go online, wasmithfinancial.com.
So we covered 3 very important topics today. Protecting your retirement by getting ahead of potential government changes, how you should be planning for healthcare costs, and a strategy to safeguard your financial capital. And believe me, there is a cost to doing nothing. So don't do nothing.
Yeah, the cost it can be very expensive, right?
Absolutely.
You pay way more in taxes than you should. You'll lose a ton of money in the stock market.
Yeah.
You, God forbid, lose your health without having a plan in place.
Yep.
Right? So it is the key. And so the number one thing that people ask me is, how do we do this? How do we do this? This makes sense. Like, there's a lot of things that are that we're looking at in a comprehensive plan.
So how do they do it?
Well, here's what I tell everybody. So James Clear, one of my favorite authors, authored the book called Atomic Habits. Had an opportunity to hear him speak at a conference. He had a quote, and I absolutely love it. He said that we do not rise to the level of our goals, but we fall to the level of our habits, systems, and processes. Think about that.
Very true.
This makes sense.
Yes, yes.
But what ends up happening? Well, you tune into another channel 5 minutes from now, and you completely forget about it, right?
Right.
So I would tell you this, it's who, not how. Who is the team that is helping you take your financial plan to the next level? We have the team of professionals.
How do they get a hold of the team?
And it's easy. Like, here's what I tell everybody. Take this thing out right here. It's called a phone. I know you're looking at it right now. You're probably scrolling in between. I want you to text the word schedule to me.
Okay.
Text the word
That's
schedule.
all they have to do. Just the word schedule.
Text the word schedule. And you will get a hold of a complimentary retirement tune-up financial review. That is the journey of 1,000 miles. That is your first step.
Now, let me just give you the number, though, 800-878-6223. It's on your screen. But once you text the word schedule, I want you to see beyond that, Bill, to the day when you have all this behind you. You've gotten that second opinion from the person who couldn't give you a second opinion because they gave you the first. So they're looking out for you. They are going to give you a weight off your shoulders.
That's right. I was about to say the weight. Picture a day when your spouse comes up to you and says, honey, thank you so much for taking care of this for our family. And by the way, whether you have a plan now or no plan, $500,000, $1 million, or millions, our retirement tune-up can help you go to the next level.
You worked hard for your money. Let it work for you.
The number one thing we hear, number one thing, Bill, I sure wish I would have met you 5 years ago. Don't make that
please don't.
you. Call now, text now.
800-878-6223.
Because it can be good or bad, and we don't know.
No.
That 5 year, we want it to be good.
We do.
Text us.
Yeah.
We
do.
would be honored to provide you with another opinion on your financial plan. But it starts with the tune-up.
And we are honored that you have chosen to join us today. We thank you for your time. I'm Robin Swoboda.
And I'm Bill Smith. We'll see you again next week right here on Retirement Solutions.